So today I'm just going to be explaining some bit of price action on volatility 25-1s, right? So first of all, you go to the H4 just to realize the general trend. So on the H4, what I realized was that price was ranging between this area above here and then this lower area down here, right? So you have these two zones that price is actually consolidating in, right? We have this upper area and this down area. This, you see that price so far made a lower low, right? It made a new lower low in the market, and it made a new higher high, okay? But now price is following up by trying to make a continuation push to the upside. Remember, we had a creation of a new higher low, right? This was a lower low, this was a new higher low. So that means if price is to respect the structure, it should probably give us a new higher high in the next coming candles. Now that's a bit of a stretch, especially if you have a small account, or that if you don't have that patience. But if I'm to follow the market structure and I go to the daily time frame, let's go to the daily time frame, you observe that price has been extremely what? It has been extremely bullish, right? It has been extremely bullish for the past couple of days, right? If you observe, you zoom out a bit, you realize that price has been extremely bullish. Now, once we know that price has been extremely bullish, where exactly do we take our buy entries? That's the question. I told you that you go to the H4, the intermediate time frame, and just observe the structure. In fact, let me first remove everything here, all these small okay, so let's just start from where, from the wrist, from we have this what level, right? So this is a low, right? And then price came here and made what? A higher low, okay, which is fine. But now we have to understand that before price made this lower low over here, before price came to make this lower low, it had already made what? A lower high. So this was the lower high, and then we have the what? The lower low. So in effect, price came, it made a lower low, made a new higher high, and then afterwards it respected, it never went underneath this level of what? Support. So as long as price respects this lower part here, we know that we are likely to have a second run to the top. But I usually use this, especially if I have like enough confluence, because when I went to the M15, I realized that price was actually quite bearish. We are quite bearish on the M15. It was the M3 which gave me the confirmation for my buy entries here. So on the M15, you see that price has formed a bit of like a head and shoulders pattern, right? So you have the left shoulder over there, and then you have the right shoulder. So it's for people who love to trade head and shoulders, this is a perfect setup. You see that we have the head is over here, we have the left shoulder, and then this is the right shoulder, right? So we're expecting that price will first of all lead to a good formation of so if you have to calculate the number of pips from here, if you observe up to here, that will be around 56,000 pips, right? But this is just like minus 0.83% of current market price, right? No, that's like again plus 0.83% of the current market price. So you can place here, because this is another block by itself, this is another block, and then we also understand that we have another second order block just above here. This is another block. If you observe, price, when it reached this area, we're able to break structure right to the downside, but it's not as, this order block is not as strong because it never actually, this is the one which had enough momentum. So I'm expecting that probably we may have another second push, right? Another second push in terms of price movement. But if you have to draw your trend lines, okay, I don't want to confuse you. I just want you guys to observe structure and then trade with structure. I don't want you to bring some complicated stuff, just the simple stuff, right? So if you draw your trend lines over there, remember from the high time frame, I've told you already that price is going to be what? Bullish. Now in the low time frame, you know that price is going to sell. Why? Because we have a rising channel. But now the rising channel doesn't simply mean that price will automatically start to sell. No, it will first of all look for order blocks. So the first order block that I can see, which is actually intermediate, is one over here. So price may likely love to tap into that order block there. All right, that will be around $100, right? So $100 for this position If you had like 0.01, that could have been almost $10, right? $10 was 0.01. So yeah, that's it for today. We see that supply and moving in profit. Price is actually moving pretty good, right? Price is moving pretty good actually. Just have to give it time. So I got another pair. It's called, I love trading this pair because it moves quite decent. It makes decent moves, right? So this is the volatility 51s. So in volatility 51s, observe that price, if you observe, it has been extremely bullish, right? And most people are now looking for entries for sales. Most people are anxious for price to make some bit of a pullback. But let me just show you what I mean. So if you observe over here, price came and made a new higher high, right? So over here, price came, right? If you observe, we had a break of that structure to give a new higher high. Price made a pullback, right, which gave us a new level of support. So this was the previous low, right? And then we have a new higher low. So anything above this area we would have bought, and this would have been a very perfect setup, right? This would have been a good setup. This is just basic highs and lows in the market. This is not even trying to complicate stuff. This is just the basics, supply and demand. Not even supply and demand, this is basics of the market structure, right? Once you understand the market structure, there is actually nothing to be scared of, because the market structure is simply telling you where the market is going. We see that we broke above this area, we had a pullback, and then afterwards price started to push up. So where do you buy? Above this area. Why? Because we have seen that above this area bullish momentum came in strong, so we're expecting that same bullish momentum to continue. This is the H4. So if I had to put a buy maybe here, this would have been almost $300, right? $300, and then the stop loss could have been just underneath this low. So risking $170 to make over $300, right? That doesn't seem like much, but you have to understand that since the price is bullish, would have even held, right? Would have even held maybe up to here, right? That could have been a good setup. But anyways, I've told you we have a high, right? Price breaks above the high, giving us the indication we have a pullback, which creates the new lower low, new higher low, sorry, for this case, because we are bullish. And then after the price crosses above that same area where we saw it was bullish. So yeah, that's how the setup works. Then if you observe again, price has this low over here. So this is a higher low, right? Because it's higher than the previous low. And then on this higher low, we see that price has already made a new higher higher high. So your price has already made a new higher high, right? So how do you know that the correction phase is going to end? So you just go to your low time frame like the M15, and you want to look for, because you see price has been climbing up, right? If you observe, price has been climbing up. So this has been a climb up, right? Until we reached here where price made a break of this cut structure here. So we don't know where price exactly we start to buy, but we know for a fact that as long as price starts to give us the same structure that we had, we may be likely looking for buys. Okay, so this is for V51, V51s. On the M1, okay, this was a clean setup. This setup over here is a clean setup. This was a clean setup. But anyways, I'm saying that over here, I don't really see any good setup. So plane is passing by. Sorry. So I was saying I don't see any clear setup here. So I'll simply let the market do its thing. I'm not sure when this will stop. This whole correction phase, I don't know where it will stop, but I'll just leave it right? Because it's better to have like a clear market structure than simply just sell because you have found something. So on the M1, you also see that price has actually started to give off like the bearish structure. So it's best to just keep out and let the market do its thing. I let the sellers do their thing, right? As I usually say, I let the sellers do their thing, and I will come back and see what price we'll have for us. Then V751s, if you go to, I always love to start my analysis from the H4. So from the H4, I want to first of all mark out the areas which give me the current structure. I don't go all the way here, no, I want to look at the current market structure over here. So you see that price made a new lower low, right? We have a new lower low which was made, and then we have a lower high over here. If you observe, price is actually forming, it has actually formed a new what? Higher high, right? But that new higher high is, this is all consolidation, so I wouldn't even advise you to take any setups here. On the H1, let me see if it's a bit clearer. The H1 is also a bit consolidation, because if you observe, we have no clear low, no clear structure here, so I'll just keep out of this one. Then the other pair that I wanted to touch upon is jump 100. So on jump 100, I want to go to the high time from like the H4 and just observe what price has been doing, right? So if I observe, if I draw my trend lines over here, you see that price, this was the previous low, price closed underneath this low, right? So this is an indication that price is now shifting structure. Remember, we are bullish, but now price has broken the previous low to give us the indication that it wants to do what? Continue selling. Okay, so for jump, I would usually recommend that you start from the daily time frame, especially if market is confusing. You can go to the daily time frame so that you can see exactly what price is printing. Okay, so in the daily time frame, you see that over here to the left, we have a market high. This is like a lower high, right? Price made a lower high, and then after it sold off to make a lower low, and then afterwards price came above this area, giving us the indication. So if price goes above this area the second time, we may probably have another push, probably towards this area, which has more strong selling potential, right? So here you can place your buy stop. Okay, so if whenever price goes above that area, you want to buy. I usually use maximum lot, right? And then the TP is going to be around, this is around 6k. So our pair here is not that volatile, but 6k is not bad, right? 6k is not bad, especially if we have a clean setup. The stop loss can be put at around this zone over here, down here. So that's around 2k stop loss, and then the target is just like 5k, right? 2k for 5k, that's like a 1 to 2. Okay, so also if you observe over here, this kind of gives off like a sort of quasi model. We have the head and shoulders. Look at this. Also here we had a head and shoulders on a daily time frame. Look, we had a head and shoulders pattern here. So you observe that price came, broke above this area, then came underneath, made the left right shoulder, then it started sell off. This could have been a very clean setup for sales. Now most people have said that you can sell underneath the neckline, but that's not my area of expertise. I just love to sell when I see the confluences. Okay, so I think we have marked out all the pairs. Even if I go to the H4 on V75 index, I just want to look at the market structure, simple as that, nothing complicated, right? Because remember, the more you complicate, the more you reduce chances that you'll ever because consistency is about making the process simpler for you. You want to know when you get out and then when you get in. So look at this setup, right? So price formed a previous high, and then we had that break, the correction happened, right? And then price ended up giving us this continuation phase, right? So we have the indication where price breaks the previous high to make a new higher high, the correction where price now consolidates to clear liquidity and also take out some orders. Not to complicate stuff. Price is just consolidating, just making a new level of support. It's not just looking for support, right? So after all that, we see that price ended up kind of faking out, trying to move, but it wasn't strong enough, so it came under until price eventually came above this area the second time, the third time, that is, and then afterwards we had that. Remember, I told you that if you have to look for the TP, understand that the first TP is always going to be this area over there where the bullish momentum ended. That's why the first TP is going to be, right? So even here, when price broke above this area, you could have even taken another entry here for buys, right? You would have taken another entry here for buys. So that could have been around from here, that's around plus a 9% increase, right? So 3,000 pips for this pair. So yeah, currently that's what we are seeing here. And then if I go to the high time, I just want to see what's happening on the low time frame on the V75 index. So you observe that price has been actually trying to sell. If you observe, we're in a correction phase, right? So we're in a correction phase in that price underneath this level was selling until all of a sudden price started to do what? Price started to buy. Okay, price started to buy. So we had a bit of a correction phase here. Above this level, price is bullish. This was the indication that we had for the first time. So this is the second time price is above this area. So for V75 index, I'll take my buys here. Stop loss will be underneath this area. That's around $4. So I'll just increase my lot by 15, right? So I'll go for a 15 bullish buy because I trust that price is likely to have another second push. Stop loss is going to be just underneath these levels, so that's around 7k in loss. I'll take a 7k loss, right? And then we shall see what price will be giving us in the next coming periods, right? So yeah, those are the two trades that I have. And I'll be updating you guys later on.